everyone, it's Kerry back with you today. It's the 1st of December, which is crazy. I can't believe this year is almost over. But the 1st of the month also brings about our freebie for our collaboration with the Playing with Paper and Glue Facebook group. So if you're new to our channel, hello and thank you for joining us. Each month we bring out a freebie that is available exclusively within the Playing with Paper and Glue Facebook group for that whole month. And then on the 1st of the next month when we bring out a new freebie for the group, this freebie moves into our shop where you can go over and download it for free from there. So I will leave links below to both the Facebook group and to our shop. So normally for the last few months, Rennie and I will get together and create the freebie together. November was a bit insane with Black Friday and Christmas coming up, and I had to get taxes done and things like that. So Rennie went ahead and created the freebie. And when she showed it to me along with her samples, it was really cute, but it didn't speak to me, and I did struggle with it a bit at the beginning. However, I'm looking at it now and there's a billion ideas running through my head. So that's just a timely reminder for me that if you're struggling with something, just put it aside and come back to it later, and don't try and force the creativity. Anyway, I did use these elements to test another idea that I'd been working on, and I wanted to create some very heavily layered embellishments for another project. So I've used the elements from this freebie to create these heavily layered cards or embellishments here. So for this project you will need some extra book pages or scrap paper, brown paper, anything that you can use just to create background layers. The only thing that I would suggest is you don't want papers that are too thick. So if you've got very heavy weight scrapbook paper, that might not be suitable for this project. So I'm just going to go and gather some bits and pieces and I'll come right back and we'll get into it. So I've just gathered here some book pages. These are just out of a Reader's Digest. And I've also got some just brown packing paper. Now other things that you might want to think about using for this project are if you've got misprinted digitals or something like that, your scrap box papers would be perfect for this project. So if you've got lots of scraps lying around. Most of the papers are going to be hidden within the layers of the embellishments. So I wouldn't go using your best papers if you've got a nice stash of vintage papers or something. I would save those because you really don't see a lot of what's going on. It's just to give the illusion of lots and lots of layers and paper. You might also want to think about incorporating some pieces of fabric into your layers as well. So I'll keep that aside just in case we decide to use that. Now off to the side here I've got some of the elements that I've cut out from the element page. Now I printed and cut out 3 sheets of elements, so I've got lots of bits and pieces left over here to use. So I'll just pop those to the side. So to begin with, I'm just going to take some of my pages and I'm just going to screw them up and unscrew them and then re-screw them up so I get lots of creases. It also helps to break the fibres in the paper, which will give us a little bit of dimension when we're layering these items up. So I'm just going to screw up all my bits and pieces and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got all my scrunched up bits of paper here. So I'm going to have a look through my bits and pieces and decide what sort of focal point I'm going to put onto my piece. And I think I might build a butterfly and then I can show you how to create that look as well. So just grab out some of these layered butterfly pieces and a body. So in the kit there are 3 different sizes of butterflies. So you've got a large one here, a couple of medium size and 3 small ones, and then we've got these little body shapes over here as well. So to create my butterfly, I'm just going to grab some ink first and ink around the edges just to get rid of the white edge. Okay, so you might not be able to see it too well on the video, but the butterfly's actually got a little bit of dimension as well, and you can sort of pop those wings up and make it more dimensional if you want to. So to do that, I've taken my butterfly and I've gently held his body in the middle and then run the blade of my scissors, or the dull side of my scissors, underneath the wings, and it just helps curl those wings. And I do that with each piece. So then I'm going to take some glue, and I'm just going to run a little bit of glue down the middle of the butterfly where the body would be. So I'll just let that have a moment to dry while I decide what size I want my embellishment to be. So if I was making a long skinny embellishment, then obviously I need longer pieces of paper, but I think we'll just make a small sort of squarish one like this. And I can see that my page, it's going to take up roughly a quarter of my page here. So I'm just going to go ahead and tear these pages into quarters. So now I'm going to bring in the second sheet and decide whereabouts I would like, or what sort of colour I would like for the background. Now my camera isn't really picking this up too clearly, but the top part of this sheet has more of a sort of a brownish tone, and the bottom has more of a minty green tone. And I'm just going to pop it on the page and decide what background I like best with that. I think I like this corner here. So I'm just going to tear out a piece. So now I've got my butterfly and my backing piece, and I've got my torn scraps over here. Now if you find that once you start layering it up that your pieces aren't the right size, you can always tear up a few more scraps if you need to, or you can use the layers to create a larger piece. So I'm just going to lay my piece here while I build my bottom layer. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. I've got a little bit of rough edge all the way around. This is a torn edge here, but it's more straight. I do have a couple of very straight edges here, but I can always tear them down a bit afterwards if I want to. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue between these two pieces, just to maintain that sort of edge. And then I'm going to go ahead and add extra layers, keeping within this edge, or maybe even in slightly, so that looking down you'll be able to see the edges. So once I'm happy with how it looks, I pick up the whole lot and I grab a stapler, and roughly in the middle, or as far in as I can reach if my piece is very large, I just pop a staple in the middle. So that's going to hold everything together. The staple's going to get hidden by the embellishment on the top, but it allows me to sort of have a look and see if I'm happy with it before I glue everything down. But at this point you can also decide whether you need to add any sort of fluffy bits around the edges. So you might want to come in with some brown paper and stick a few bits in here and there, just to add a little bit more interest to the layers. Or you might want to take some of this washi strip that is part of the kit and tear that down. Okay, so I quite like how that looks. So I'm just going to take some glue and glue those little pieces in place. Now I'm only applying a small amount of glue to roughly the middle of the piece because when I scrunch everything up in the next step, you want those little scraps to be able to move a little bit as well. Okay, so I've got all those bits glued down, including my main part here on the front. So you don't want to glue right to the edges. You still want to leave the edges of your layers as free as possible because that will help give you that extra layered look. So I've allowed that glue to dry a little bit and now I'm going to go around the edge. I'm going to leave my thumbs on my main piece of paper because I don't want to scrunch that up, but I want to scrunch up all of these other bits of paper around the edge individually. I don't want to scrunch them up as like one big piece. So each layer is getting scrunched in individually and then sort of flattening it back out again. So there we go. So I've scrunched everything up and you'll see some areas have torn a little bit where I've scrunched quite heavily and I don't mind that. I think it just adds to the overall look. So now all we need to do is attach our little butterfly into the middle of our embellishment here, and I've just realised I didn't ink around the edge, so I guess this one's not going to be inked, but you can ink of course if you like, so like this one I've just inked around the edge. So I'm just going to use some art glitter glue to attach mostly just the middle part of my butterfly there. Just sticking the body part of my butterfly down so that I can lift my wings up a little bit. So there we go, that's our scruffy layered embellishment there. I've just got a couple of little mini journal things that I've made here, and I think once you add the heavily layered embellishment to the front, it really doesn't need much more. Now you might not want to use something this layered within the journal, but if you've got a journal that's only got a few pages, like I have this one here, you could even use one of these layered embellishments to give the illusion that there's a lot more pages within the journal if you glue it onto the edge. So you can sort of see all these different layers here. But I think for the most part they would look cool as a topper on a small journal. So I quite like that. It's just a little journal there. And with this one, even though it's got all these layers, it's actually not that dimensional. So I think this one would make like a cool belly band in the middle of a page and then you could slide bits and pieces underneath. So there we go. That's what I have created with this month's freebie. As I said, I struggled a little bit, so I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. I'm sure you guys are going to come up with some awesome bits and pieces. So I will pop links below to both the Facebook group and the shop, and you can pop over there and grab the freebies. Just a side note, for those of you that do go to the shop to grab the freebies, you can add the freebies to your cart as many times as you would like to. So you don't need to go in and purchase one freebie and then go back in and get another freebie. You can add them all to the cart and just get them all at once. So I hope that makes it a bit easier for you. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'll see you again next time. Bye.